You're on the clock with Tyler Jennings and Jared Perkins, a Prospects Live podcast for everything MLB Draft related. Join us as we discuss the biggest stories from college and high school baseball, bring you interviews from your favorite draft prospects, and break down live looks with Prospects Live analysis across the nation. Get ready, because you're on the clock with Tyler Jennings and Jared Perkins.
Alrighty, we are back with another episode on the clock by Prospects Live. I'm Jared Perkins. That's Tyler Jennings. Tyler, how you doing today?
Tired.
Yeah.
Just want Mother Nature to stop raining on our parades every single weekend. You know, same old, same old.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get some rain last weekend, but held off. Got some games in.
Lucky.
So, we got some baseball news to talk about. We have some upsets that happened this weekend. We got some injuries that are not fun. We also have some live looks that both of us had gone through. Let's talk about the new top four in college baseball. We got Arkansas, Oregon State, Vanderbilt, Clemson, Wake Forest, LSU have dropped out of the top four. I know Wake did last weekend. LSU did this weekend. What are your thoughts on the new top four? And this is according to D1 Baseball, by the way.
Yeah, shout out the guys at D1 Baseball, by the way. They all do a very good job, even if I do complain about their ranks sometimes. But no, I think they nailed it pretty well here. Arkansas is arguably the best pitching staff in the nation. The rotation is probably the best we've seen in years as well. Hagen Smith, Mason Molina, Brady Tiger are all just dominating on weekends at this point. And of course, obviously, number two, Oregon State. Arkansas is the only team that has beat Oregon State so far. I think as of this point anyways, but Travis Bazzana continues to still hit balls out of the park at an astounding rate.
Yeah,
he's good. He's hashtag good. Hashtag good. That's what it is. But that entire team's just loaded. The lineup's incredibly stacked. Vanderbilt, I still have some questions on pitching. The bullpen has had multiple breakdowns this year. The offense is good, though. I will give them credit. But the bullpen, I'm still just a little bit iffy on. And with Clemson, they just beat number 10 Duke. Duke was number 7 or 6 or something coming into this weekend. Not number 10.
They're 9 now.
Yeah, but they walk into the Jack. They beat Duke on the road. That's a very good series win for them. That was even after Austin Gordon didn't even go 3 innings on Friday against Santucci. Yeah. They did a pretty darn good job of clawing back to get that series victory. I think kind of just looking at the state of the ACC, Wake Forest, as you mentioned, is not done great. I think at this point we can just guarantee they win Saturdays with Chase Burns. The other days, I have no idea.
After being out there for the live looks, Sunday was a day. And we were 3 hours into the game, and it was the sixth inning, I think. We were about in the sixth. 3 hours in, a lot of pitching changes, a lot of guys throwing 90 to 93, but just getting absolutely shelled.
The glories of the ACC, ladies and gentlemen, by the way. But yeah, no, I think the Wake really is just lacking experience at this point. Hartle's obviously not been as good as you would like. But Chase Burns has been the storyline this year for them. In the Sunday spot's kind of been a round robin a little bit. Michael Massey's been out for a week now. From what I've heard, it's a minor injury, but as far as I'm aware, he's going to be coming back soon. Hayden LeFew has obviously struggled, but it's a freshman that's only got a couple midweek starts under his belt. Still pretty raw in terms of understanding his command and his pitch arsenal, because the stuff itself is good, but the biggest issue is the fact that the strikes are a premium right now, and just they're really missing Bennett Lee, man. Bennett Lee was really the stalwart of that defensive core last year. It also really helped that every single person on that team last year had a career year.
Yeah. I mean,
so
you think about it, of course, they lost Nick Kurtz, who was supposed to become kind of the big guy on Friday night. And you're looking at a heart of the lineup with Jack Winay and Seaver King compared to Brock Wilken and Nick Kurtz. And so it's a lot different. I mean, it's still talent. Winay's really good. King's really good. They got bats in there. They got some of those grad transfers too, and Adam Tellier and a couple others. But the lineup isn't really much of the problem. They still scored a crap ton of runs. But the pitching staff isn't holding up for them. When it comes to Virginia, they're kind of in the same boat, right? They hit the shit out of the ball. They just don't have the pitching staff to really hold up. They don't even have like a Chase Burns, who you're going to get for sure a W from. Evan Blanco's been pretty good. He actually pitched decently against Wake Forest on Saturday, but it was just he couldn't match up with Burns. And so it's just like you watch him and you're like, oh yeah, they're going to tear the cover off the ball, but you just don't know where you're going to get that pitching staff. I mean, Jay Woolfolk on Sunday, I think, went 3 1/3, maybe 3 2/3. Weirdest thing happened in that game. Blake Barker came out of the bullpen, lefty, hops on the mound, throws his warm-up pitches, and then something happened. They sent him back to the bullpen. Jay Woolfolk came out, threw to one more batter, and then he got pulled.
I remember you texting me about that, and I was wondering, like, what kind of ACC bullshit is this?
I couldn't, I don't know if they were saying that Woolfolk had to finish the batter, right? Because he started the batter, but usually you can still pull a guy out like after they throw a pitch to a batter. At least in the major leagues, you can do that. So I don't know if there's like an ACC rule where like if you throw one pitch to a batter, you got to finish that batter. But Blake Barker came and did his entire warm up, and then they sent him back to the bullpen. Then he went back to the bullpen, threw a couple pitches, waited for Woolfolk to finish the next batter, and then they brought Barker back. It's nuts.
Yeah, I don't know the rule on that one. I feel like during the Wake Forest Duke series, I think somebody didn't finish a batter and they still pulled him out. So I'm not sure what the deal is on that one.
Yeah.
Also proud of you for acknowledging curse words.
Yeah.
Allowing them into your life. I love it. Your dialect is changing for the better.
I'm learning from the best, you know.
I don't know if that's a good thing to learn from, you know.
But yeah, I just overall that series was good. I've only got to go to 2 to 3 games, but I mean, watching Chase Burns live and in person is an electric factory, and probably the best highlight of that weekend for me. We'll get into some of the live looks there. We got to talk about one more upset. We had Mississippi State rolling into LSU. Or sorry, was it in Mississippi State? I can't remember.
It was at the Dude. The Dude.
They take 2 out of 3 against LSU. Not only did they take 2 out of 3 against LSU, but they 10-run ruled them on Sunday. Absolutely throttled the Tigers over the weekend. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the Bulldogs are back.
Yeah,
I think they
good.
For what it's worth, I think this is the first time Mississippi State has physically beaten LSU either at the Dude or just in general in the past like 20 years. Or something like that.
Yeah,
I think it may have been just at the Dude. They haven't won against LSU in 20 years. Yeah, Chris Lemonis is back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm prepared to rescind that statement in the next week or so. But like the kid of Jordan, man, he's swinging a toothpick right now. Speaking of which, Jared, you know what to do.
What's that? Oh,
bring up the video.
I don't know if it's even gonna work. Oh, there we go.
It is. Oh, okay.
Whoop. Whoop. There it is. Wow, that was a struggle.
Toothpick.
This is from the Collegiate National.
Yep. So that ball's gone, by the way. Yeah, that was from Collegiate National team. The weird thing with him was I think he only had 2 at bats, and he just I think something happened with his hand. I think it may have been haymate or something. I can't remember. But he didn't come back after the first day, which like good for him because it was 115 degrees feel like out there that day. It was awful.
Nope.
But he was peppering the trees left and right with a wood bat. That's not. It's not like the BB cores that you see in college right now. This is just straight up wood bat, and he's just hammering them halfway up the trees in left field and the backfield at USA Baseball. So, he's good.
There's some swing and miss issues, though, right? Or
and I think that's always going to be a thing. Yeah. Just with the guys that have that kind of power, the hit tool is never going to be refined enough, but he's still going to have superstar potential because, yes, there's swing and miss to it, but also he's hitting 470-foot tanks every single time he hits the ball to center
field. Pretty good.
So, like,
good.
The trade-off there is, like, yeah, you strike out a lot, but also we get to watch somebody hit a ball 450 plus every single weekend.
It's so much fun. We got to talk about Nolan Stevens, though. That man came out of the bullpen, went 5 2/3 innings, gave up just 1 earned, striking out 8. Nasty. And he's hitting, too, right? Two-way guy.
Yep, two-way guy. I think he was a SoCal kid last year, too. I remember him from high school.
Yeah, he's been playing well for the Bulldogs. been a key part for them this year.
Not to mention Durangelo, by the
Yeah.
way. Please let this kid be a righty pitcher only at the next level, man. Oh my God,
He's the switch guy.
righty Durangelo is one of the most lethal things I've ever seen, and if they let him just stick as a righty, I think his draft soars as a result of it.
Yeah,
because him as a lefty, I just don't see it. I think the gimmick should just end.
Mm-hmm.
My boy is up to 98 from the right side with a slider at 88-90.
Why are you just not staying there?
Yeah, just like stay righty. You're gonna get dudes out.
It'd be one thing if he was pumping 98 from the left, but he doesn't.
Oh, if he was, then hell yeah, he's first overall pick.
Yeah.
Jack Caglianone would not exist in this world.
Yeah, 100%. So that was good. Other news stories we have from the weekend: Florida State is now the last undefeated team. A&M lost 2 of the 3 to Florida. That was a really close series, though. That was kind of a battle between 2 teams that are just as good as each other. And it wasn't really like Florida like absolutely tore up Texas A&M. That was a really close series. So, what are your thoughts on Florida State? I was going through their schedule a little bit just to see how they've gotten to 18-0. Not a very strong schedule so far.
Yeah, it's really not been strong, and ACC kind of has that problem where they don't schedule strong in the non-conference, and then they get the conference play, and it's the same thing for every single sport they have.
Yeah,
football, basketball, you name it. But on the bright side of Florida State, they have probably one of the best duos of starting pitchers at the top of that rotation with Cam Leiter and Jamie Arnold.
Yeah, Jamie Arnold's numbers are insane.
I think Jamie Arnold has like a 0.33 ERA through 5 or 6 starts or something like that.
44 Ks in 27 and 2/3 innings.
Yeah. Can I get a hashtag good on that?
Only 5 walks. Hashtag good. That's our new thing.
Hashtag very good. Yes.
Yeah.
What was it? This past week, I think he struck out 12, which is a career high against Notre Dame. Cam Leiter, if we all remember, 1 hit, 5 innings with 13 Ks on opening day. And like Carson Dorsey's really good at the bullpen. The lineup's pretty deep as well. Cam Smith is just tearing the cover off the baseball. Yes, it's a weak schedule, but this team is very talented. Yeah. And I'm not sugarcoating that whatsoever. They're deep up and down the lineup. The pitching staff is pretty deep, even without Gavin Adams. Gavin Adams is out for the year.
Yeah.
With TJ. So kind of it's a little bit of a revolving door for that Sunday spot now. But if you can win with Cam Leiter and Jamie Arnold, those 2 might be the best 2 pitchers in the draft class next year for 2025.
Yeah, and I mean you got to think about it, right? Like you said, they've had a soft schedule, but it's still Division I baseball, right? To go 18-0 regardless is impressive in itself. No matter who you're playing, because you think about it, you see all these like random midweek games that are lost, like Wake Forest lost a midweek game, Florida lost a midweek game. Florida State has found a way to get through them all. They're 18-0. Of course, it's going to come. I mean, they have Clemson this weekend, so good luck. That's going to be a big test for them, but you just never know what's going to happen. And we're going to stay in the ACC and we're going to talk about it, Tyler. Thinking about not knowing what's going to happen. NC State, 0-4, dropped out of the top 25. How are we feeling?
We sold our soul for an ACC basketball championship. I don't want to hear it.
Oh, it was not an impressive week for NC State. Lost their midweek game to UNC Greensboro. If that name sounds familiar, that's the same team that beat Wake Forest midweek as well. Whoever their midweek guy is should probably become a weekend guy at this point. NC State's pitching staff has not been great. Gave up 31 runs in 3 games over the weekend to Georgia Tech. Not what you want to see. Those pitching struggles have finally come back to bite them. They have a team ERA of 6.53. And they're welcoming Duke into town this weekend. So I don't think it's going to get any easier for the Wolfpack, especially with that lineup that Duke has. So are you going to go see Duke, NC State?
No. UNC, Georgia Tech, depending on weather. We mentioned top of the show, Mother Nature is just really just really grinding our gears right now.
Yeah.
No, she's being a grade A bitch right now. Not sorry for the use of language. That's literally how you can describe it at this point.
We're gonna have to put censors on the YouTube and the Apple Podcasts here. Be like, not made for kids.
Oh, that's right. I
Tyler.
keep forgetting about the rating. Sorry. Oops. Oh well. But yeah, no, you mentioned it with the NC State pitching. It's just not been good, and this is probably the deepest staff they've had in quite a while. But it's also a lot of inexperienced freshman arms. So there's that kind of going into it as well. Dominic Fritton's not been great. Sam Heightfield's been off and on. Logan Whitaker's probably the best arm in that rotation right now. And even then, just like, can you hold a lead? They had I think they were up like 8-3 on Saturday or something like that, and they lost 9-8, or it was 8-7 or something like that. Yeah, not great. But hey, on the bright side, they beat Coastal at home last night. So like, we can look at the positives. That's a ranked win.
Yeah. I mean, how much midweek bump are they going to get?
It's Coastal. They're a top 15 team.
I know, but it's still a midweek win. Like, how much weight is that going to carry in the rankings? They're going to get them bumped up in the. Well, I mean, they have to at least probably win at 1 against Duke.
They need to win the series at Duke if they want to be ranked again, in my opinion.
They're not going to do that.
Never say never, Jared. We won an ACC basketball title. We're going to go ahead and beat Texas Tech tomorrow night, and then we're going to go ahead and win the series against Duke.
Okay. We'll see.
I am not a homer.
Good luck with that one. Moving on to our live looks. Speaking of Duke, you were out at Clemson and Duke. How was that series for you?
Pretty fun. I've had people tell me that the Jack is not the greatest field. I actually kind of like it. Kind of like it. It's small. It's like a local field vibe. I like it. It's easy to access some of the stuff to get film on. But yeah, Jonathan Santucci went 5 innings, struck out, I think, 11 or 12 on Friday. It looked really, really good, despite the fact that the command was still kind of sucks.
Yeah,
but he flashed a changeup, got a couple swings and misses on it to Will Taylor. Cam Conrella, Will Taylor, by the way, not the greatest weekends for them. You can definitely see the tools that Canarella has. He's a really good defensive center fielder. Likes to slash the ball more than get really into his power, but also at the same time, like, he can flick it oppo pretty easily. Will Taylor's kind of a little bit disappointing. I know he's been BABIP'd a little bit. I think he's got a pretty low BABIP, but I kind of don't know what he's looking for at the plate a little bit. It's kind of rough to tell. He's not the same athlete he was coming out of high school, where he could have gotten like $4 or $5 million for the fact that he was a potential power speed guy. But I think now it's like above average speed. Plate discipline's got to get better, in my opinion. It's not bad. He doesn't chase much. I don't think there's a ton of whiff. I kind of wonder what he's kind of looking for. He'll rack up long, but there's a couple of bats where I was wondering, it's like what are we looking for here? I just it didn't really tip off to me that this is a guy that could be like a comp round or early second round guy. So I'm gonna wait and see if he kind of turns the corner a little bit. It didn't really turn the corner for me at all.
Will you get another look at him later on?
Probably not.
Yeah,
Clemson doesn't come back up here, I don't think. But I'll be watching from home or wherever I end up being on the weekends. But I will say, Tristan Smith and Aiden Knack, the Saturday, Sunday starters they have for Clemson, pretty good. Nice. Tristan Smith went career high 6 innings, struck out 10. He's kind of the same boat with Santucci, where like the command's not great, but it's serviceable. He kind of started off rough, but then he retired like 7 straight at one point, looked really good. 91, 94, bumped to 5. Changeup is what surprised me a little bit, because this was a guy in high school that like didn't really have much of a changeup, kind of relied more on like a slurvy or breaking ball. Changeup, it flashed above average for me. It looked pretty good. He really kind of, granted, this is kind of like tangent a little bit, but like when I see somebody try and like dot a changeup away from a lefty while you're also a lefty and get the strike called, I'm sorry, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
He did that a couple times, and it was a beautiful piece of pitching, man. He has confidence to throw it in any count, throws a conviction, really fades away from righties, and he can throw it to lefties with confidence. I enjoyed it.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and then even Aiden Knack, like this kid he missed like 5 bats in the first inning. He was up to 95. This was a kid that Ian Smith of PBR can probably tell you this much. I did not like Aiden Knack as a junior in high school. I thought it was kind of like this is kind of a kid that's like struggling to not get barreled up all the time.
Yeah.
Came to NHSI last year, looked really good. He shoved against a really good team. And then now he's at Clemson. Now he's pumping fives with a diabolical changeup, and he's got a breaking ball.
Insane.
He looked good.
Yeah.
And he was efficient despite the fact that he got hit he allowed like 9 or 10 hits.
You got to love that development progression example, though, right? Because,
yeah,
the fact that you can kind of go back and reflect on that outing, but still be like, oh, yeah, I see the improvement. I see what's changed. I see where he's now becoming the player he is today, instead of being like, oh, I'm right. I'm not wrong in my initial scouting of him. So yeah, I think you get that a lot from some analysts where they're like, nope, my first take, this is what I believe. I can't be wrong. But I love how you're just kind of built and progressed on that.
Yeah, no, it's like I can't just knock on the guy for something that happened 2-3 years ago at this point.
For sure.
Like he looks stronger, he looks bigger. He, like I said, up to 95, and he's allowing it to eat up in the zone, man.
That's nice.
He's 2026 eligible. He might be really good then.
Love it.
I can project on that a little bit. And like again, got knocked around like 9-10 hits, still efficient. I think he went like 5 2/3 or 6 innings complete, struck out 9, no walks. Like it looked good, looked very good.
We got to talk about one guy that I do have a video for. We talked about him last weekend. AJ Grosvenor hitting absolute tanks. We'll watch it one more time. Probably many people thought it was a double.
Do you want to know? For people that thought it was a double, the at bat following was a double. That was a home run. Yeah, I mean, I wrote it up in the live looks that we put out this morning. This is a kid that could be one of the best bats in the country in 2026. Yeah. I firmly believe that. Doesn't whiff, doesn't chase, is really good plate discipline. Whatever, I think Dan Valerio is the guy that's really worked with him hard on changing the stance a little bit. Like he was a wide base in high school. Mm-hmm. He's more stood up. He's got a narrower base. There we go. And just it's allowing the hands to really explode through the zone. It looks really good, and it's easy power. Yeah, I really enjoy that kind of bat. And someone mentioned a Griffey follow through. I think somebody might be on that one. But yeah, that one he got a changeup over the plate, hit a laser out to right field, barely got out, but it was like 102 off the bat. Then the double, the following at bat was 108 off the bat. Almost won the game for them, by the way. If it was anybody else other than Alex Stone at first base, I think Duke wins that series as a result. But went to extras, allowed 2 home runs in the top of the 10th.
Can't do
Didn't
that.
win it, but AJ Gracia really did look good. I'm excited to see how he progresses with Duke. Duke has done a really good job with developing, like making Winslow's turn into a really good freshman stud. Charlie Bielenson
looks good too.
Kyle Johnson looks really good. Charlie Bielenson is a grad student, but like he leads the country in saves. Didn't allow his first earned run until Sunday this past weekend. Like
that's sweet.
I think I mentioned this year's version of Kevin Kopps. He could be
nice.
Little rubber arm Charlie.
Yeah. Nice. I got ACC action too this weekend. Went out to Wake Forest versus Virginia. Got 2 games. Got to see Chase Burns, which we'll get into a little bit. But I want to talk about one guy, really the only guy that did anything on our Saturday night against Chase Burns, and that's Henry Gabo. This kid, just impressive. That's the home run he hit on 99 up in the zone. Just absolutely torched it. Go back to that one really quick. Just what I love is how simple that swing is, right? There's not a lot of movement. There's not a ton of movement. I just am really impressed with his plate discipline, his maturity at the plate, his ability to kind of find the pitch that he wants to drive it. It was just an impressive showing by him. I think he's a 2025 guy who will probably rise up boards pretty quickly.
Yep, I agree. And like, if you want to go back to that home run swing, kind of pause it where he impacts the ball here. Maybe a little bit about right there. That's how you get underneath a baseball, and that's how you hit a chest high fastball, man. That looks really good.
Yeah.
At point of impact, like hips are firing, shoulders are aligned with the plane of the bat.
99.
Got my approval on that one.
And who knows if like it's actually 99 because it's a stadium gun, so it could have been harder. Who knows?
I mean, it's Chase Burns. It's probably 99. Let's be real here.
Oh, yeah, I was saying it could be 100, 101. You never know.
Oh, true. But also that shadow, too. That shadow plays mind tricks with batters.
That was awful. I wish I had the clip of Griff O'Farrell just striking out on 3 sliders. Just standing there watching all of them.
There's nothing you can do about Chase Burns slider, man.
Yeah.
That thing will just eat you up and you just sit there and enjoy your dinner.
Yeah. But he had a good game too. Godwin did against Hayden LeFew as well. Again, just simple approach at the plate. He had a couple RBI singles. Everything he kind of hits is hard. Not so much like home run power besides what you saw against Chase Burns. He's got more gap power, but I think he could develop into being a double-digit home run guy. So really impressed with him. Was fun to watch. Let me see if I can pull up the Burns clip here. Or maybe not show myself is what I wanted to not do.
I mean, you can show yourself. That's fine.
There we go. As expected, Chase Burns was an electric factory. I don't really know how else to describe it. I think we've talked about it kind of ad nauseum at this point about how good Chase Burns is and how he's the best pitcher in this draft class. Everything was about 95 to 99. He sat like 98 to 99 in the first few, like 1 to 2 innings, 1 through 3. Dipped down to like the 95 to 97, but would tap 98, 99 a couple times later on. I think he hit 100 at one point. Like you and I were talking about it when I was texting you at the game, that when he gets into the later innings and he knows like his time's coming, like in the 7th inning, he's back to popping 98s and 99s. Just absolutely impressive. The slider was just diabolical. I talked about that Griff O'Farrell bat. I think it helped with the shadows that you can see there. He threw 3 sliders, all for strikes, to Griff O'Farrell at one point. Griff O'Farrell watched all 3 pitches and then just walked back to the dugout. It was disgusting. He did like, so at one point he popped a 93 and I was trying to figure out what it was because it was really hard to tell from the angle. And then I kind of looked up the video later from the feed, and it was definitely like a change-up splitter combination type thing. I don't even know what to describe it as.
I don't think it is a splitter actually. I think it's just like a regular circle change that kind of moves like a 2-seamer a little bit. Yeah. But he could throw it for strikes. It looks good. He could project on it a little bit. Hi there, Henry Godbout, hitting a bomb. But yeah, like you mentioned it right off the rip, the fastball velocity has been impressive. He's holding upper 90s, hitting 101 late in games. Like that was one of the question marks we had coming into the year, was like, how can he hold the velo with the kind of recoil and effort that he has? Because he does have that kind of exaggerated leg twirl kind of towards the end of his delivery that kind of recoils a little bit. And there's always going to be effort with guys that throw this hard, but like he has really, really changed my mind on how he kind of projects. And 6'3", 210. This is a projectable frame built like a workhorse starter. Looks really good, and I'm still that he's the best arm in this class. I know Hagen Smith's made it close, but I still think Chase Burns, with the run that he's made recently, like this is without a doubt the best arm in the country right now. Yeah,
and I see a lot of comparisons to Paul Skeens, right? I think Paul Skeens has a lot less effort on the mound. Like Chase Burns is definitely more effort. Is rearing back trying to throw it, but I don't know. I see a lot of people like use that as a knock against him, but I never saw it like he was over effort, like going too far. It just seems like that's just who he is, and that's kind of how he operates on the mound.
Yeah, and it's not like you mentioned Paul Skeens, like that was a very deceptive like 98 to 101.
Yeah.
Like that, like, yes, people knocked on the fastball shape, but people didn't realize that you didn't see the ball until it came out of his hands. And with the things that he played with the angles and whatnot, it was really, really tough to barrel up Paul Skeens. Chase Burns doesn't have the deception that Skeens had, but it's a cut ride monster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, it is ridiculous how much ride that thing gets. And this is a guy that's also not really walked a ton of guys.
No.
We mentioned the kind of effort in the Rico that he has. He's not had anything higher than like a 2.8 walks per nine in his college career. He's commanding. I think he threw 66% strikes against Duke. I don't know what the tally was against Virginia here, but I would imagine it's probably around the same thing. And just I'm trying to bring up his data here, trying to give you an idea of like what
the whiff
on
rate.
the year kind of looks like. Going into that series against Duke, he had like a 50% whiff rate on every single pitch in his arsenal. It was ridiculous.
That's natty.
Right now it's still at 50% with a 33% chase rate, and he is in the zone 66% of the time.
That's nuts.
I would say that's pretty good.
And he had 2 walks in the game, but they were basically the umpire had a very tight strike zone, is what I was going to say. Like he was not calling stuff kind of on the border. And I think that's kind of where the 2 walks came from more than just like him. Oh yeah, I think this is the Griff O'Farrell at bat right here where he just watches. Nope, this isn't the one. This is the second at bat. But Griff O'Farrell didn't have a fun time.
I don't think anybody has a fun time when they're stepping in the box against this kind of arm.
No, it was disgusting. It was fun to watch if you're a fan, not if you're a hitter. Good times. The last guy I'll just touch on, and I'll pull up his video if I can here, is Jack Winay. Apparently a 2024 when I thought he was a 2025. But even the outs he hits are loud, as you can tell right there. He's aggressive in the strike zone. Like he'll if he gets his pitch, he's gonna swing at it. So that's the one thing I really liked about him. But he makes good swing decisions, so it's not like overly aggressive where he's chasing things out of the zone, getting a ton of swinging a ton out of the strike zone. But everything he hits is hard. So when he hits the ball, he does a good job getting barrel to ball. That was his big home run off of Woolfolk, who you can tell didn't like where he left that slider. Just a hanging slider, absolutely torched. But he was just
don't leave a slider there, man.
Yeah, it's right middle in basically. The one question I have about him is kind of where he's going to play defensively. I know he started out a lot in left field for Wake, moving to first base with Nick Kurtz being out with the injury for 3 to 4 weeks. So I'm assuming he's going to get a ton of playing time there. I know he's played some third base as well, but it's kind of below average defense from what I was reading from previous write-ups. So I'll be curious kind of where he finds his defensive position.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing that's going to kind of knock him a little bit on draft boards, because you did mention he is draft eligible this year. Yeah. Defensively, I would like to kind of see him play more third base, if anything. I just don't know if that's going to happen. No. Adam Tillier is kind of blocking him over there. Nick Kurtz is going to come back at some point. We have heard good news on that. I can't really dive into that fully, but from what I've heard, it's not as bad from what we feared it could be. So he'll be back at some point. I'm not sure when. 3 to 4 weeks is
slow.
Yeah, I would say 3 to 4 weeks is probably the best way, because you don't want to kind of rush that back. Yeah. And with Kurtz, like, he wasn't getting much hit before. I want to see if he kind of turns that corner as well. So, like, get him back healthy, get him back strong, do what you can. But I think with Winay, like, the bat's good. There's some swing and miss there. Not really. You mentioned aggressive in the zone. Like, overall, it's not entirely aggressive. Like, I think I saw a chase rate earlier was like sub 20%. Like, that's something you can walk with, but the defensive value is kind of lacking on that kind of profile.
Yeah, he's got about an 18% strikeout rate too. He's offsetting it with about a 15% walk rate, which is decent, almost 16%. So some good numbers from him. I was impressed. He hit 3 home runs in the weekend too, so he was just absolutely barreling everything up.
After he didn't hit any for me, what the heck, Jack? Come on.
Yeah, did his best Nick Kurtz impression to fill
Right.
in for Nick Kurtz.
I have also found Chase Burns' strike rate from Saturday. 75 strikes on 109 pitches. That is a 68.8% strike rate.
That's nuts. And that's with a tight strike zone from the umpire. So I bet a lot of those calls would probably be strikes. And most, like if you were getting an MLB umpire, a lot of them are probably strikes. Like both sides were not happy with the strike zone in that game.
This has been a story of this year: tight strike zones and Mother Nature being an asshole.
Umpires being an asshole in the ACC, giving tight strike zones. All right, well, that's it for our live looks. Now it is time to put Tyler on. We got a few questions for him that we're going to bust out here. First, we're going to talk about the 2 injured guys. We got Nick Kurtz and JJ Weatherholt. Who do you think bounces back first to increase their draft stock?
I would probably say JJ at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know the full spiel with him on that injury. I've heard it could be worse than what it is. I've heard he could be back at any moment. It's either which way. He's obviously got the better defensive value being the shortstop, and I've heard the reports are good. It's a better hit tool than what Nick Kurtz has as well. It's just with Kurtz being a first base only, there's so much pressure on the bat, and he's not really getting much to pitch either. Like I think he's getting like 5% less strikes this year as well, which is a kind of a reason why the batting average is only like 220, 230.
Yeah.
Like he's not getting much to hit. It's all going into gloves. Yes, because he loves his walks, man.
Yeah.
But if I had to guess, I think JJ comes back maybe a week or two earlier than Kurtz, and if he continues to hit exactly like he has in the past, go JJ.
Love it. Who do you think comes back from the injury first? I imagine JJ at this point, but
probably JJ. Yeah. I don't know like I said, I don't know the full thing on that, but I would imagine at this point, I think JJ comes first. Maybe Kurtz surprises us.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I wouldn't be shocked if that happens either, but I would rather see a fully healthy Nick Kurtz and just let him rest for a couple weeks instead of trying to push him back into a lineup as quick as possible.
Yeah, makes sense. Next question. LSU head coach Jay Johnson or Oregon State coach Mitch Canham? Who would you rather have as your coach?
I like both of them. Why are you doing this to me? I guess Jay. Yeah. Just from when we had him on the pod, everything you kind of heard from him, and you kind of see why all these kids like to pay for him. I have talked to Mitch in a video call before. He is extremely nice, very, very talented. It's really, really close. I think I have to go Jay there, but I like both of them.
Yeah. So. I was going to say the same. Like, both incredible dudes. Both have great reputations. I think they had like that poll out that came out, like the top nicest college baseball coaches, and I think both of those guys were on that list.
Yep.
Which makes sense. Yeah. Next question. Favorite ranked mid-major? Coastal Carolina, Dallas Baptist, Campbell, or UC Santa Barbara?
Coastal.
I
got to go Coastal.
Interesting.
Caden Bodine, Blake Barthol, Derek Bender. There's a few others. Zach Beach, Chad Bourne. There's just a lot of bats in that lineup, man.
Yeah.
Caden Bodine looks like he's probably one of the best college bats in next year's class. Derek Bender obviously is known for having a lot of power. Barthol, I think, is eligible this year too as a sophomore, and has really torn it up recently. I think he had like 11 homers in 12 games or something like that, or like vice versa. And like Alexander Meckley on the mound looks really good. There's a few other guys like Cam Flukie, if he can figure out command, has looked pretty good. I just really like Coastal. Campbell's close. Campbell's very close. Grant Knipp is having the biggest breakout I think anybody has seen this year in college baseball. And they got some pretty good dudes on the mound, especially their midweek starter. I think Cole Peschel is his name. He's put in some pretty solid starts for the Campbells in their midweeks.
Yeah. I'm just going to say that you picked Coastal Carolina because NC State just beat them and you want NC State back in the top 25. And we're going to run that narrative on Twitter.
Okay, we can, but at the same time, why would I pick Coastal if that was my end game if I wanted them to lose to State to begin with?
Wait, what? Just like completely
I
made
just
no
fli- I
sense.
just I just reverse Uno card your ass.
Wait, how? Am I not making sense?
Yes, that's
I'm
exactly
lost.
how that works.
All right, last question we're going to dive into. It is March Madness season. Games kicked off today. What team are you looking at for the tourney? Besides NC State, because we know they're going to win the whole thing because whatever.
I'm not that delusional, dude.
Well, maybe.
Okay, I am delusional, but not that delusional. Okay, we don't have to tell the world about that. I still haven't filled out my bracket yet.
Come on, man.
I wait for the first 4 games to get done because there's always going to be a first 4 team that's going to end up in the final 4 or like
Yeah.
Elite 8, and I'm going to get it wrong because that's just how it goes. But if I had to pick one team to kind of win it all, I would probably say like Houston. I think the Houston Cougars are going to look really, really good this year in the tournament. Second, probably UConn to go back to back. I don't know. I'm kind of divided on that, but if you want me to give you like a team that I feel like is going to go deep, that's a mid-major and surprise some people, Samford. Samford against Kansas is going to be a really good first round matchup.
Love
and
that.
I think Samford upsets Kansas.
Interesting. Really?
Yes, I do.
Huh. I don't know if I believe you.
Okay, we'll figure that out here.
I should probably do a bracket though before I start making calls.
Do you want to? We'll do like a head-to-head bracket. See who's better.
You said games start. The play-in games are happening right now, right?
The first 4 is tonight.
Yeah.
Or sorry, the second night is the first 4 is tonight, like right now.
Oh my God! Virginia got absolutely stomped.
Oh, you just made Daniel sad on that one, man. You didn't have to do that to him.
My bad. Colorado State. Okay, wait. How did Nevada make the tournament? I guess Colorado State won the conference championship and probably had a worse record. That makes sense.
Yeah. The Mountain West was good this year. I'll give them that much. But I think Samford plays Kansas like very late tomorrow night. So
yeah, it's cool to see Howard get a playing game. Nice.
I think they lost their playing game actually.
I'm picking UConn to win it all because Dan Hurley, Rhode Island connection, former University of Rhode Island head coach. Got to go with the hometown squad. Nevada is my school, my alma mater. They got Dayton as a 10 seed, playing Dayton as a 7 seed. They've been fun. This is like they haven't been good since Eric Musselman left for Arkansas, which the Musselman days were probably the best days in Nevada basketball with the Martin twins and Jordan Caroline in that run.
I was about to mention the Martin twins. They go from State to Nevada and just took over that team, man. That was exciting to watch.
That was a fun team. Jordan Caroline was another good player on that team. They lost by 1 point to Sister Jean.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
1 point. It was nuts. Had a good run, but now they got a pretty good squad again. They got the new head coach who came over from UCLA at one point, Steve Alford. So hopefully they can make a run this year. I would love it. Games tomorrow, so I probably will be trying to pay attention to work. Well, it's at 4:30. I'll be done with work almost.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm fully prepared for my bracket to be busted on the first game.
Yep, I'm gonna fill that out tonight before I forget.
Well, as soon as the Boise State Colorado game ends tonight, I'm starting it.
Yeah. So you know what the play-ins are.
Yep. Because I know, like I said, I know one of those first 4 games is going to turn into a deep run, and it's going to be the one that I pick is not going to be the team that does it.
Wild part about March is that we're like a month into the season now, which is dumb. I hate when we get like this far into baseball because that means it's getting close to being the end. No one wants that.
Yeah, that's true. But hey, it means we get our top 200 draft prospects coming out this upcoming
That was going to be my
week.
next question. What is the new content we got coming?
So as of right now, I'll be working on the live looks from the end of this month. So like the Clemson series, Georgia Tech, UNC. I get to go back to Duke for Virginia next week. That'll all be into one. So you get more video from all of us. But the big thing, the top 200 draft prospects, is going to drop probably Monday or Tuesday. from recording. We're recording this Wednesday night, so I'm going to work on. We've already got the names in place. I got to clean up some of the blurbs, get everything wrapped up there, but we are going to get that out here shortly. It's been to 200. We are tinkering with a soft paywall on this one, so we haven't figured out a full pay on it yet, but I think it's gonna be something like $5 for the full list, and we'll get like the top 25 and like the format that we've had for this individual prep and college lists. But for anybody that is going to complain about that, I'm doing this solely for the fact that I want to get my own people paid. I feel like everybody deserves it here. They all do a fantastic job. They deserve the right to be paid properly. Yeah. And that's not a shot at anybody here at the site, by the way. That's just my vision on how I want my employees to be treated. So I'm, like I said, we're going to be tinkering with it a little bit. I'm not sure exactly the plans on it, but as of right now, expect a soft paywall. But I'm still excited to put the 200 out.
Yeah. Yeah. And you talk about like the soft paywall. We have guys going out to games, staying overnight, paying for hotels, paying for gas to get there. We love doing it, and don't get us wrong, but there is a financial aspect to it that we all have to deal with, and like the little bit $5 to get the top 200 list provides a little income for those who are out there grinding and trying to get the footage that everybody loves. So
yep,
we all appreciate your support. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it's not just me and Jared. Like Will Perry's out there right now getting Eastern Kentucky and Dayton. I think even like Jake Bardry's been out there in Pennsylvania doing a good job. Rekka's going out. Will's doing Georgia. Yeah. We got a lot of dudes to go out and do amazing stuff, and we all appreciate the support. This is something that I think is going to be positive for all of us. And it's something that I want to have us enjoy. Like, this is stuff that we all like to do, gets us away from our day jobs, and we've done a good enough job at this point that I feel like we are definitely in the territory to be financially compensated properly for it, and this is one way to do it. So I understand that somebody's going to be upset about it, but at this point, this is something that I want for everybody at the site, and everybody
and that's the thing is
it.
like all the live looks articles are still going to be free, right? The podcast is still going to be free. You'll be able to get stuff, all the YouTube videos, all free. So you'll have access to most everything. It's just one little item that can hopefully help out some of the guys. So,
yep. And we will appreciate anything at this point, to be honest.
Speaking of that, you had a live looks first half of March drop today, I believe, or yesterday.
This morning, yeah.
Yeah, check that out. Bunch of Chase Burns, AJ Gracia, Jonathan Santucci, all the fun things in there.
Trey Savage too.
Trey Savage, absolute monster. We have other things coming up. I will have a live looks matchup coming up for Wake Forest, Virginia at some point. The video is all on YouTube for the Wake Forest guys. I'll be uploading the Virginia guys. Got those videos done, so those will be going on the YouTube channel here either this weekend or going into early next week. So we got more new video there for you. But yeah, and we do have an incredible interview with South Carolina pitcher Roman Kimball that will go right after this intro. So we want to get you over to that interview. Roman's an incredible dude. You're going to really love this one. He really dives deep into kind of his journey, experiencing Tommy John, having to go through the recovery process, what it was like to go through that recovery process as a human rather than just a player. And I think it's a perspective that everybody will enjoy. So thank you all for everything. We're going to turn it over to that interview for you. All righty, we got another incredible guest here on the Clock, powered by Prospects Live. We got Roman Kimball, right-handed pitcher with the University of South Carolina. Roman, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. Appreciate y'all having me on and taking time out of y'all's day to talk to me. It's pretty cool. So,
yeah, we're excited to have you on. I mean, your journey is kind of awesome. I've always loved the guys who are bouncing back from injuries, trying to make it back onto the field. But for the people who don't know you, share your story a little bit and kind of how you've gotten to where you are today.
Yeah, so I've had a pretty crazy journey, I would say. Grew up in upstate New York, went to high school up there up until my senior year. And then COVID hit, and then, like all that at-home training, like training on your own and all that stuff. So I was doing that. And then, heading into my senior year, I wasn't quite sure if we were going to have a season. And at the time I was, getting scouted by some pro teams. And then the summer circuit was pretty big. So, I mean, I wanted to make sure that I had played my high school senior year to be ready for the summer and, just to face some competition and stuff like that. So decided to go down to P27 in Lexington, South Carolina, which is about 20 minutes away from South Carolina. And so that was kind of the start of everything, so played my senior year there. It's basically like a baseball academy type deal. It was pretty cool, great experience. Definitely got me ready for college. And I've always been kind of a younger guy, like for my grade. So when I left home, I was 16. So left home at 16, went to P27, was pretty much thrown into the world on my own, had to, go to the grocery store, do my own laundry, cook for myself, all that good stuff. So yeah, so played my senior year there. Then I committed to Notre Dame in my sophomore year of high school, I think in the fall. So I committed really young. I had just turned 15 when I committed.
Wow.
So yeah, I think there's rules now where you can't commit to a certain age or something, but yeah, so went to college, went to Notre Dame my freshman year, threw a good amount of innings for a freshman. Obviously a really successful team going to Omaha, and we ended up winning a game in Omaha, which was pretty cool, and beat arguably the best college baseball team in the history of college baseball in Tennessee at their place in the Super Regional. So that was a great experience and something I'll cherish for the rest of my life, just to be able to go to Omaha and, see the atmosphere and everything. So that was super cool. And then, coaches ended up leaving at Notre Dame. Notre Dame for me was baseball wise, it really wasn't kind of what I was looking for. P27 going there and, coming to some games in Columbia, like you kind of see what the atmosphere is like here compared to Notre Dame, where you're lucky to get like 100 fans on a weekend game. It's a lot different, and coaches ended up leaving. And then at that point I was kind of like, well, I think I might just kind of put my name in the portal, see what kind of offers I could get, stuff like that, and just, play the field a little bit. And then, first spot I wanted to go, like I told my parents and my advisor and everything. And I was like, look, like South Carolina is the place I want to be, like going to games there and seeing the atmosphere and, just the SEC and everything about it and stuff like that. So it was really a no brainer. So once South Carolina showed interest, it was pretty much a no brainer for me to kind of, come here and be a part of this team.
Yeah, I love that. The first thing you kind of stuck out to me too, you talked about like leaving home at 16. What was that transition like for you at that young age, going out on your own and kind of having to do your own thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an eye opener for sure, because you're just kind of thrown into it, and you got to figure things out yourself. And for me being so young, I had to pretty much grow up really fast and mature pretty quick. So living on your own, you got to be self-disciplined and determined, and you got to be able to have a schedule and, set things here and there and stuff like that. So I felt like I learned that pretty quickly and have kind of implemented that into, your daily life. And I feel like it's gotten me pretty far so far. So, to be able to establish that and figure that out at a young age was super important. Just like, what do I need to do on a daily basis to make sure I can get everything done that I want to get done that day? And how am I going to get better? So it was super cool, and definitely got me ready for college pretty quickly. And the transition for me from going to P27 to college was really easy, because at Notre Dame, like you have to live on campus.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's dining halls there. So like I didn't have to cook or go to the grocery store anymore, which is nice. So I'm like, oh, that's 2 more things I don't have to do. So it was definitely a super easy transition going from high school to college, because I know a lot of people struggle with that. So it's definitely hard. Like if I didn't go to P27, it would have been a lot more difficult for me to kind of get through that stage of like, all right, like I need to adjust a little bit. So it was definitely very helpful to kind of have that in my back pocket.
Yeah, I love it. You talked about kind of getting yourself adjusted to college too. Talk about having that first year as a freshman at Notre Dame and that experience and kind of making it all the way to the College World Series. How did that journey kind of help you in your own personal development on and off the field?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it definitely shows you like what it takes to get to Omaha. Like,
Yeah.
The other day we were just talking about it. Like you got to sacrifice a lot and you got to give up a lot and put a lot of hard work in to get get to Omaha. Cause like we have a couple other kids on our team, like Gavin Cassis and Parker Noland, and Coach Kingston has been to Omaha. Monty Lee's been to Omaha. So we've got a handful of guys who have already been there, and like it definitely takes a lot of hard work to get to Omaha, because there's 300 teams competing for a spot and only 8 get to go. So you gotta grind your ass off to get there. It's a grind for sure, but to have that experience and see how the team prepared and what we did on the field and off the field, and just the preparation and the hard work that we put in when I was there my freshman year really showed me and kind of paved the way for what it needs to look like for the rest of my college career. So having that in my head, and being able to kind of transfer that and talk to the coaches about it, and some of the players who are curious about like what it was like to be in Omaha. It's cool to be like that guy that people ask, because you've been lucky enough to experience it. So it's cool to have that experience and be able to kind of talk about it and give information and kind of help other people out if need be. So it's definitely a cool experience to have.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tyler, turn over you.
First off, respect the Florida Marlins cap you got on. Such a good hat. I wish they'd bring it back. Kind of biggest thing for me, I remember watching you as a prep, and liking the Arsenal then. But what's changed since then? Like, has there been any sort of like additions to the Arsenal, or any like metric changes that have really stood out to you, even through just getting to Columbia?
Yeah, for sure. So I remember in high school, I was, the fastball was really good. The fastball's still the same. Lots of ride, low release, good vertical approach. Curveball's changed a little bit. When I was in high school, it started to get a little bit more slurvy type. And now it's kind of more of just a true 12-6. I started spiking it instead of throwing it with both fingers. And the velo's also kind of increased on it a little bit too. That was kind of a transition from Notre Dame to here. That was something I worked on with Coach Parker last year. Was just kind of because it was starting to get a little harder, like too hard, to the point where it was kind of turning into a slider compared to just a curveball, or more of like a power slider type deal. So he was like, I think if you can kind of just get that to be more vertical and kind of take some velo off of it, that it'd be more effective, and then throw a slider as well. And then so, getting surgery and then coming back, like, I kind of realized I was like, I really need something that is going to move horizontally away from a righty. So I started throwing a sweeper this year, and it's been really effective. I've started throwing it a lot more. And, it's the velo's there on it. I think it's been like 80 to 84 in pretty much all my outings. And I think it's averaging anywhere from around negative 15 to like negative 22 inches of horizontal. So yeah, it's been really effective for me to throw that, and then, mix the curveball in there too. Cause there's been a couple instances this year where like I'll throw a backdoor slider or backdoor sweeper to somebody, and like, it'll just kind of be a freeze pitch, just cause like I could back up a curveball on that at bat or something. And then, and then they might think that that's like a backed up curveball, whereas like the sweeper is going to kind of come back into the zone. So it's definitely been effective for sure. And it gets a lot of ground balls, which is something that I really don't get much, because my fastball plays a lot up in the zone. So a lot of guys are normally under it. So to be able to kind of throw something like, if guys on first in a close game, just kind of throw a sweeper low and away and kind of get a ground ball to the second baseman, like that's something big that I really needed for the Arsenal. I feel like it's paid off so far this year for sure.
Yeah, perfect. And then, like, you mentioned recovering from Tommy John. Kind of just go through that process as well.
Yeah. So one part I forgot to leave out talking about earlier was, transfer here, and then started throwing in the fall scrimmages. And, I played summer ball in the Cape for Chatham. And so I think I threw like 20 something innings there. And, at the end of the summer, like a lot of the teams are pretty depleted with arms. So I think I was throwing like every 4 or 5 days in the Cape. And that was definitely a lot. So then coming in, took a couple weeks off, and then started throwing, and then threw in scrimmages. And then I think it was, October 21st was the day when, just throwing in a scrimmage. I was warming up that day, and I was like, man, I'm throwing really hard today. Like this is really odd. So, and I remember going out there, and I was like sitting 95, and I was like, I haven't sat 95 since like high school. Like this is crazy. So, I'm just going out there, and I'm just like, wow, this feels good today. Like this is awesome. And then, threw a fastball, kind of got away from me, and then threw a changeup, and that was when I felt it go. So then, like couple weeks meeting with doctors and stuff. Really, really, really stressful for me because like there was a lot of controversy about what the actual injury was because I did the UCL test and whatever. And then a lot of them were negative. Like I didn't have any pain doing anything on the field. Like I know there's some certain things that people do, like people like go like wash their hair in the shower and it'll hurt. But I really never had any like pain doing anything like that. So it was originally diagnosed as a flexor strain and then ended up getting some MRIs on it and stuff, and then ended up finding out that it was torn. So then 14 months on the sidelines, which obviously is the last thing you want to hear as a player, especially when you're transferring to a new school as well. So yeah, but I mean, talking about like the rehab and stuff, like it's a grind. It is a grind. People definitely overlook how hard it is to come back from Tommy John and be the same player that you were before. Like right now for me, like I'm going out there and like I'm feeling good, like my body feels good, but you're still not quite 100%. Like before I tore my injury and like I transferred to South Carolina, like my command had finally been like elite. Like I was throwing everything where I wanted to, and I still feel like I haven't really gotten that elite command back yet. And that's normally like the last thing that comes back from Tommy John for most people. So I feel like as the year goes on, it'll get better. And like you're still kind of like I'm still relatively kind of new to coming out of Tommy John still. Like I was cleared like a week before the season to start facing hitters. So it's still relatively new. So like once you start getting in the repeatability of the delivery and you can kind of feel your body a lot more, like that's when things will really start to take off. And now I see why pro teams like have their guys sit out for so long, is because they want them to be like 100%. But it's different in college because you want to come back and you got the draft and everything, and guys, the coaches are looking for you to help. So it's a lot different in college. Like, I'd be curious to see what it's like at the pro level, like on a day-to-day basis. Cause you kind of see guys like how long they're out for and stuff like that. But on a day-to-day basis, I think it'd be a super cool thing to be able to see like what a pro team has their guys go through. Cause, like the day-to-day is super monotonous, especially when you get the dog days of it. Like I remember months like 4 through 5, it was like you're basically going to the field every day and you're doing the same exact thing. Like, because most of the time, like the first 6 weeks are pretty nice because you can't really do much. But like a lot of people struggle with that too, because they're like, oh, like I feel like I should be doing something, and like I'm just like, not. You just got to sit there and you can't do anything. It's just how it is. So. But like you're getting the brace moved around, and then you get the brace off after 6 weeks, and then you're like feeling good, and you're like, man, like I can finally do normal stuff again a little bit at least. Like I don't have to like do everything with my left hand. Like I don't have to shave my face with my left hand or eat or anything like that. So, and then like you get some new exercises every couple weeks normally, and then like once you get to that like 4th or 5th month though, it's like the same thing every day, and then you're just like, man, like this is brutal because you're just going to the field and it's like, well, I don't get to do anything new today, or there's really no excitement, but you just got to grind through it. It's definitely super hard. And then, once you get to throwing, it's pretty much like, all right, like this is feels like yesterday I just had surgery once you're done. So it's pretty quick once you get through that 6 months of no throw. And then once you get to that, and then just kind of takes off on you, which is pretty cool. Like the whole experience was definitely really cool, and it's super challenging mentally. So you feel like you come out pretty mentally tough when you're done. But yeah, I mean it's definitely a grind, and it's super difficult. People really don't realize how hard it is. So I think
I was gonna say, I appreciate you kind of bringing in the human element to it, right? Because I think a lot of us as analysts, as we're like analyzing for the MLB draft and things like that, everybody's like, "Oh, is he coming back and healthy?" Like that's the only thing that they care about. But no one kind of realizes or like focuses on what they actually go through during that process to get back on the field. So the one question I got to ask too: what were your emotions like when you did get back on the mound? Right when you finally threw that first pitch in a game?
Man, it was insane. Like. Yeah. And I'm like a pretty emotional pitcher too. Like I'll pitch with a lot of emotion. And so like my first couple weeks out there, like it's just like, man, like I'm so excited to be able to be back out here. Like I've grinded my ass off for the last year and a half. And it's just like you're finally getting rewarded for all that work you put in. It's like that like sigh of relief, and it's something like that first outing that I had, like even though I only threw 2 innings, like it was something that I'll remember for forever. Like it was insane, and to be able to do it in front of founders and with the home crowd and having people watching you, and like with all the social media stuff that I do and stuff like that, like all the fans here have been super supportive. So to be able to like have a bunch of people coming up to me after the game and being like, man, congrats, like that's so awesome, like to be able to see back out there was great to see, and we're so excited for the year. Like that's awesome, man. Like that was so cool to be able to have that whole day, and it was just awesome. So there's really no other way to put it. It was just awesome.
Love it.
Shout out the Gamecock fan base, by the way. I do love those people a lot.
Yeah,
You do mention like getting back from rehab, like that put me back in like high school PTSD a little bit. I didn't throw, I did cross country, but like my senior year, I had a grade 4 stretch fracture I ran on for 3 months. Not the smartest idea, but just a little bit. But I mean, my mentality was I was going to run through it until my leg kind of like fell off, and I PR'd my final race. But then my doctor was like, "Yeah, you're out for like 4 months because you're basically going to break your leg in two on the next run." So hearing that like put me back to those days of like, man, I'm going to practice to help coach out and just not do anything for like 2-3 months until like start doing the same stuff every single day for like 3 weeks. That just put me back to like high school days, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a grind for sure. Like the dog days are the worst too. Like you're just showing up and you're just like, man, like I got to do this again today, and it's just like, it's like, man, like can I just do something else? It's brutal, but like I'm just happy with the way that I just grinded through it and feel like I attacked it really well, and obviously I feel like it's going to pay off in the long run. All that work that I did just to be able to get back out there. So it's great, man. It's awesome. And I'm glad that I had that experience under my belt too, because it just kind of mentally toughens you up. So
yeah, I love it. The last question we always ask guys, and then we might go into some rapid fire here after that, is what are some of your passions outside of baseball, right? What do you like to do for fun when you go home away from the field?
Yeah, definitely the social media stuff for sure. The YouTube channel is kind of been the big thing for me off the field for the last like 3.5, 4 years, I think it's been. So, and then ever since I got here, it's just kind of really taken off, and the fan base loves it. So it's just super cool to be able to show the personality and show other people's personality on the team, because that's what the fans want to see. So I think it's a great thing for the game, and people enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, I also like to golf a little bit too. So getting 6 months off of golf was not ideal either, because when I'm not playing baseball, I want to go play golf. So it was definitely tough, but being able to get back out there was great. So yeah, especially during the summer too, because I spent the summer here, so got a lot of free time on your hands. Just go hit the links a little bit with the boys and have some fun. So
love it. All right, now we got to hit you some rapid fire questions because we are on the clock. So we're gonna throw some your way. I believe I have 3. I'll see if Tyler's got any as well. But what's the go-to food spot in South Carolina for you?
Tough. Say Tsunami. It's like a sushi place. Sushi place. It's good.
Love it. You talked about social media and how you're big on social media. So IG Reels or TikTok? What's the go-to?
TikTok.
Yeah. What's the following on TikTok?
I think I've got like 7,000.
You're pushing that double digits.
Yeah, I don't post too much. I feel like I need to post a little bit more because TikTok's so big now. But it is hard. It's super hard to kind of like, because I normally just compress stuff from my videos and kind of turn it into a TikTok. So then it's hard to do that because you got to look through everything, and then like the captions are a big thing on TikTok too. So you want to put on there. But yeah, no, TikTok is way better than Instagram Reels, though. It's not close. It's the only right answer.
Love it. So you're from a cold weather state. So winter or summers? Which one are you going with?
Come on. That's an easy one.
Some people like the snow. You never know.
Oh, dude. Snow needs to stay away.
Yeah.
Stay away forever. I cannot.
There's a reason why we moved to the South, Jared.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in Maryland. I'm kind of close to South. But
yeah.
No, you're not.
Freshman year too in Notre Dame, South Bend. God.
Yeah.
Miserable. You don't play a home game until like the middle of March.
It was the same way in Reno. We never we were on the road for the entire first month.
Brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah. Love it. Tyler, you got any?
Yeah, I'm gonna need to know the best links course in Columbia, South Carolina when I go down there in a couple weeks.
Oh, tough. My personal favorite that I've played is Golden Hills. It's in Lexington, which is about 20 minutes away. And P27 is also literally right next door, so that was where we would play in high school. But yeah, I know a lot of people like Cobblestone. Cobblestone's supposed to be really nice. Trying to think where else. Oak Hill isn't bad. But yeah, my personal favorite's Golden Hills just because I know it like the back of my hand. So, but yeah, if you're looking for a nice course to play, though, Cobblestone is pretty good from what I hear.
I'm terrible at golf, so I'm just going with whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd say Golden Hills then. Golden Hills is good.
Okay, perfect. That's the only question I got, Jared.
Love it. Roman, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to join On the Clock. We're wishing you nothing but success the rest of the season, and we'll be watching as you kind of keep progressing here.
Yeah, man, of course. Appreciate y'all having me on. Thank you so much.